How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We have some big news to cover. We have a lot of things happening with the certain exchange. A lot of people are worried about it. There's some drama going on, and it is Binance, one of the biggest exchanges out there. There are rumors that people are being paid $20K to FUD Binance. There's huge withdrawals. There's a massive amount of liquidations. There's also maybe some funny business going on with Blackrock. So we'll talk about that. We also have Nvidia earnings, which are coming up in about 10 minutes. So we'll get through as much as possible before the Nvidia earnings. If you don't mind, just drop a like so that way we can start off the video strong. Drop a like, and if you want to share this to someone, feel free to. But also hit subscribe. There's going to be a question answer section further into the video. But if anyone says, hey, what's the blank news, Blackrock news, what's the Nvidia news, what's the Binance news, whatever it is, you can direct them to start from the beginning. But if you want to trade crypto, there's a link underneath the video to Margex where you can start trading in just a few seconds. There's no KYC. You don't need a VPN. And just a friendly reminder, if you are not trading crypto, you should not keep a bunch of crypto on an exchange. Like, don't put your full-time bag, don't put your HODL bag over on Margex, to be clear. Like, I'm not putting in all my crypto into Margex, just the stuff that I want to trade with, right? And we need to remember that. And some of the reminders that we'll see here in a second are very important. But that's the great thing about Margex is you can trade on this, right? This is not like a long-term buy and hold place. You deposit crypto in, you trade with it, and then if you want to take profits, you pull it out, or you can leave it in if you want to trade it more. But let's start here. Nvidia earnings. Nvidia earnings are coming here very soon. So in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we should get Nvidia earnings. This has been the darling of the stock market. Even though it's down 1.6% right now, it's up 13% this month. Over the last couple of weeks, up about 30%. I mean, just doing so well. So a lot of people will be watching this. There are some rumors too. The Nvidia Q2 whisper numbers from JPM Trading Desk. Apparently, revenue is expected around almost 30 billion for the quarter, which is nuts, compared to 27.44 or 28.5 guide. And gross margin is expected to be 76.2%, which beats the 75% guide. EPS is expected to beat by 8%, something like that. And they're expecting high forward guidance as well. So that's just a whisper number. Who knows what actually comes out? But I think this is part of the reason that Bitcoin has been fluctuating a little bit. There are a lot of hedge funds that sold yesterday. We can see that with ARK, right? Selling off $100 million worth of Bitcoin, and BlackRock going from a $200 million day to nothing, and a $200 million day the day before that to nothing. A lot of people are just like, we better just hold off and see what happens with Nvidia. Maybe we need a lot of cash to buy the dip. There is some fear about Binance right now. There's something that has been kind of passed around over the last day. Binance has seized all Palestinian assets at Israel's request, which is interesting. Some people are saying if this is true, we may see a run on the bank at Binance with many customers demanding withdrawals all at once. Kind of a political move, and they have commented on this. Apparently there are rumors. I don't know if this is true or not. I'm not getting paid to FUD Binance. I think usually that's unfounded. Like, I've worked with many exchanges before, and they would just say, hey, there's FUD about Binance. Maybe you want to, talk about our exchange, right? Maybe they don't even say anything. Like, I haven't heard anyone say that in the last day to like push our exchange because there are problems with Binance or anything like that. So I'm not so sure about the 20K. Of course, I'm not the biggest YouTuber out there, but yeah, just weird. Yi He, I'm not sure if I said that right, but the co-founder and chief customer service officer at Binance says this is the world full of conflict and competition, good and evil together. Maybe you don't know who to trust. Do your own research. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'm not being paid to FUD Binance, but if you do want to trade, you can trade over on Margex or CoinW or Blowfin or WEEX. There are links to all those underneath the video. That's why I have multiple exchange links, because you can make your own decision. Of course, some of them have big airdrops like Margex right now, but obviously some of those allow spots, some don't allow spots, so you have to make your own decision there. But you can see, even if it's just FUD, there is a lot of Binance spot selling right now. Like, a lot of people maybe selling and then going over to cash and then withdrawing, because we're seeing large withdrawals too. Look at this. 45,000 Bitcoin worth 2.6 billion has been withdrawn from Binance in the past 24 hours. And to be clear, I think Binance is still fine, but yeah, I would pay attention to this. If this continues, I'm not trying to spread FUD, but I don't see a reason why you would keep your crypto somewhere where everyone is withdrawing. Like, that's just kind of a red flag, right? Why would you do that? There's no point in it. They lost 10% of their Bitcoin in a day. So yeah, if you have crypto on any exchange, like, withdraw it to cold storage unless you're going to trade. That's been my rule for a long time. Like, I'm not just keeping 20% of my crypto on some exchange unless I'm going to sell it or trade it, right? So pay attention to that. Some people talk about like Free Palestine. Some people are, getting more into the political side of it. But Binance, MENA, which is the Arabic region, I believe, says, don't believe the rumors. This is translated, by the way. They wrote in this originally. Only a limited number of user accounts associated with illicit funds were affected when making transactions. As a global cryptocurrency exchange, we adhere to internationally recognized anti-money laundering legislation. Just like any other financial institution, we will continue to educate users on how to safely transact on our platform. Most importantly, we hope to achieve lasting peace throughout the region. Okay, yeah. So no matter what the reason is for it, obviously they do need to comply with anti-money laundering. If that's as far as it goes, I'm okay with it, because every company out there has to do that, especially when it's money related. This is not like Twitter trying to report on their users, right? Saying what they're looking at. It's different because anti-money laundering is more universal, and on finance platforms it's different. But if they're doing this at the behest of different countries, freezing different assets, it gets sticky, right? I'm not being political, but obviously there is a little bit of difference. Now, Connor Kenny, let me just take this down and then I'll put it back up. I have to do something just so that you can hear the audio here. Let me share screen, and then this specific window, and then audio. Okay. He talks about how this may be connected with BlackRock and some manipulation that could be happening right now. Let me play this for you, and then I'll get your thoughts on it.
Very easy to manipulate the price. Do you know who might be manipulating the price, in my opinion? BlackRock and the other institutions. These guys are sneaky. These guys are not our friends, and these guys will do things on the back end that no one expects. Things that may be considered unthinkable. They don't care about absolutely destroying the lives financially of many people as long as they get what they want. Now, remember, guys, yesterday we spoke about a massive inflow for BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, 224 million, right? I don't think it's $224. 224 million for BlackRock. Now, they got that inflow yesterday. As we've already discussed here on the channel, there is a delay of people buying Bitcoin and them buying the Bitcoin for it. So people buying the ETF and then BlackRock actually buying that Bitcoin. So I put it to you that I'm not saying they are doing it, but if you were an institution that wanted to buy $224 million of Bitcoin and people were buying it, here, where we were yesterday, here, where we were yesterday, if you manipulated the price, or you saw there was a reason the price might fall, so you actually helped that fall, you actually edged it along, 7% discount on 224 million. They can just buy it now, and then they have the Bitcoin that people bought yesterday, right? This is the kind of thing that I believe is happening in the market. I don't have.
Now, he says he doesn't have any evidence to support that, but we know that there's manipulation all over the place. I mean, just look at some of the stuff that's happened recently with some of the politicians and some of the big social media platforms. There's definitely weird stuff happening all the time within the financial markets too. And there are fines for that sometimes. I think the SEC just charged a bunch of financial managers a couple of days ago. So there's weird stuff happening all the time. If you think that they're not doing some shenanigans to make some money, you're wrong. Now, let me know what you think about that. I'm not saying BlackRock's necessarily doing that. It's just theory that that's something that could happen. Now, moving on, and again, we'll go through some questions. If you don't know about the Binance news, scroll back. And Nvidia is coming up in a second, so we'll have to switch over there to see if there's anything going on. But Vice President Harris tax proposals. This is on Fox News, and again, not getting political, just looking at the facts. This was talked about by the economic advisor over on CNBC, that they did confirm an unrealized gain tax. We'll actually play this clip too in a second. So they say moving the corporate tax to 28%. It's currently 21%. Capital gains tax, 45%, currently 20%. Unrealized gains tax, 25%, currently 0%. Now, to be clear, I think this is just on people worth 100 million or more. So I don't think it's going to affect most people. I'm sure there are a couple people that watch this channel that are worth more than that. But the fact is most people won't be affected by that. And Steve, appreciate it. State in the U.S. Allows most options to buy crypto. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. State in the U.S. allows most options to buy crypto. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean exactly. I mean, when you get into crypto, different cryptos, if you're trying to buy smaller ones, you might have to use various exchanges to buy different cryptos because they're not available on every single exchange. A lot of people do like Mexi before they started requiring KYC because they do list a lot of smaller cryptos. But moving back over here, this, I think a lot of people would get screwed out of long-term wealth. I'm not even sure. I know this would affect everyone, right? Everyone would be taxed higher at some point or another. But if you think about like the capital gains tax, this would basically try to get wealthier individuals to pay 45%. But the fact is most wealthy individuals would probably shift how they trade, or they're so wealthy that they can get around this kind of stuff. And they just wouldn't sell very often or ever, right? This just makes it so that there's some things that you just wouldn't want to do anymore. Like if you bought a house, let's say you're middle class, you bought a house, it went up in value, you made $100,000 on it, you had to pay $45,000 in tax. Now, I assume that this is, I think I remember that it scales up, but this is like long-term capital gains tax. So that means even short-term capital gains, if they move this up, it'd probably be like your own tax level, which is where it's at now. And then long-term, it could move up to maybe 45%. But wealthy individuals wouldn't pay this. They just wouldn't sell things. So that means less individuals selling their houses, less individuals selling stocks. It's just going to go up in value. And then it's going to be harder and harder for people to even buy homes, I think, which is crazy. And then obviously tax rates going up would affect the S&P 500 and affect stocks in general. Unrealized capital gains would be extremely hard to pay. They actually talk about this here. Let me play this clip for you too. I have to do the same weird thing where I take this down and then put it right back just because I need to add audio, share audio. Okay, we should be good. Nvidia earnings on deck, but let's play this. This is pretty heated.
Unrealized gains, taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word. In the very best sense, if you were taxing unrealized gains, all you're doing is pulling forward the taxes that would be paid later when someone actually sells the stock.
I think that this reaction to unrealized gains is a little funny, given that I bet that the majority of people watching right now are already paying a tax on unrealized gains. It's called a property tax. When the value of your home goes up,
it's a use tax.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes, even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way the stock moves, the way something else moves.
That's always the go-to answer.
It's also, property tax is a use tax. You're paying for the schools, you're paying for emergency services. Those are things that make absolute sense.
And sure, and all the revenue that comes in from these unrealized gains taxes and the other taxes in the Harris plan are going to go to creating what she calls more opportunity. It's to make sure that every newborn born in this country gets $6,000.
Using the services.
Well, look, you're arguing that this is some sort of foreign concept that's completely unknown.
It's probably unconstitutional. It's probably, and it was never in anyone's intent to tax.
It's not an income tax,
and it's never going to happen. Probably. Not I'm not going to say my lifetime.
I wouldn't say that.
Not in Becky's lifetime.
Okay. I mean, obviously that doesn't affect most people. Like I said, let me just get back to this. It won't affect most people because it's at a certain level, but the fact is that opens a door to allow this at even lower levels, or, you know, in 10 years, maybe they don't move up that $100 million status to, you know, move with inflation. So eventually most people will probably be millionaires like that. I know it sounds crazy, but that will happen probably 50 years from now, 60 years from now, $1 million, the next $100,000. And then, you know, there'll be more and more people that become 100 millionaires and more taxes. And yeah, I mean, property tax is also a little bit different because let's say you have $1 million home, you might pay $10,000 to $20,000 in property tax. Okay. But if you have a business that's worth $10 million, or let's obviously the tax comes in at 100 million, but let's just say for this instant, you have to always pay unrealized capital gains. Let's say you have a business that's worth $10 million and you still have that $1 million home. The fact is, like, if you're not getting enough cash flow from that business, but it becomes worth more, like on paper, that's going to be really hard to come up with that liquidity. So I don't know. It seems crazy. It seems like it's going to be really bad because you're also going to get people that constantly dump money or dump shares onto the market, like from smaller companies or from growth tech startups, or just like, you know, Elon Musk gets paid $50 billion in shares and he has to go sell a bunch of shares. And maybe it's just that he gets options, then he has to exercise the options. He has to sell half of his shares. That's going to be nuts, or a quarter of his shares. Obviously, that's going to cause big red days in a lot of the big tech companies. Now, maybe that actually provides a nice buying in point for some of these companies because their wealthy CEOs have to constantly dump off shares. It's just kind of crazy to me. Let's see if there's any news on Nvidia. Let me just check this real quick. Salesforce had their earnings come in. We'll check up on that. CrowdStrike came in with a slight beat on revenue and earnings per share beat as well. I know you can't see anything here. You're not seeing the screen, but just checking to see if there's any news on Nvidia. Nope, not yet. So let's keep moving on. Block production on Ton experiencing further disruption. This is coming from Ton blockchain. Yesterday they were down for hours, and now they're down again. Apparently, or they're having disruptions. Not great to see. I mean, let's take a look at Ton crypto price. Also, if you do want to trade Ton, you can do that over on Margex. They allow that. You can trade on leverage there. But as you can see, like, big drop from $6.80 down to $5.50 now. Not too bad. It jumped up a little bit from $5.11. But yeah, not great to see this continuously happen. Mr. 100 buying some Bitcoin here today. Let me just reload the page and see if he did any more buys. Yeah, he just did one more buy. Just a small, cheeky 108 Bitcoin. So yeah, buying 520 Bitcoin here today. Not too bad. Not too shabby. Okay. You can see here Bitcoin dominance coming down slightly. DXY moving up a little bit, 101.1. That could be part of the reason we're seeing a little bit of weakness. OpenSea received a Wells notice. I don't know if you saw my last video. If you haven't seen that already, like, it's pretty crazy. They're getting a Wells notice from the SEC. The SEC is most likely going to sue them because they think NFTs on the platform are securities. If you want to see that last video, I give more of my thoughts on that. Again, just kind of wild.